Kaelin's words did not echo. They sank, right through the cracked stone beneath Redmoon, right through the stale basement air, right through every bloody, exhausted soul standing around the hollow gate, like we had not just been spat back out of a nightmare, with our skins still attached by sheer disrespect and bad decisions. It means you did not close the hollow gate, Imani. You fertilized it, and the thing growing on the other side already has Ralph's blood and your name. My hand tightened around Ralph's arm. The silver seed on the floor beat again. Not pulsed, beat. A wet, soft little thud came from inside its shining shell, and every wolf in the basement went still. Even Maya stopped breathing loud, which, considering my best friend coped with terror by providing live commentary, meant the situation had officially gone to hell. I stared at the seed. It was no bigger than a grape, but the stone underneath it had started to crack in a spiderweb pattern. Thin silver roots pushed down into the floor, testing, tasting, looking for somewhere to belong. "Okay," I said, my voice too sharp in the silence. "Somebody explain that in normal person language before I start throwing things." From the split in the hollow gate, Kaelin laughed softly. The bastard. His voice poured through the crack like velvet dragged over broken glass. "You want simplicity? Very well, that is a gate heart." Maya made a strangled sound. "A what now?" "A living seed of passage," Kaelin replied. "Born from threshold blood, wolf blood, chosen bond, and everbloom fertility." Rena, standing with a blade in one hand and her hair half fallen from its perfect twist, blinked slowly. I preferred when grapes just made people horny and stupid. "They still did that," Maya muttered. "Let's not erase my trauma." Ralph did not speak. That worried me more than if he had started threatening everyone within a 10-mile radius. His jaw was set, his eyes fixed on the seed, but beneath my grip, his body had gone rigid. Too rigid. His skin burned hot through the torn sleeve of his shirt, and when I glanced down, I saw why. Christine's thorn wound had reopened on his shoulder. Dark blood slid down his arm. The seed turned. I swear to God the little nightmare turned. Its silver roots lifted from the stone and stretched toward Ralph's blood like starving fingers. Isaiah moved first. "Back!" The command cracked through the basement. 2 Redmoon guards dragged the healer away from the roots. Rena tossed iron filings in an arc around the seed, and the roots recoiled with a hiss so human my teeth clenched. Ralph stepped in front of me. Of course he did. Bleeding, poisoned, half dead with stubbornness, and still deciding his body was a wall I had personally requested. "Move," I snapped. "No." "Ralph." His voice came low, stripped of all softness. "Stay behind me." I looked at the blood running down his forearm, then at the evil plant baby heart thing trying to lick it off the floor. "Respectfully, Alpha, fuck that." His head turned slightly. Even injured, Ralph Blackwood had a way of looking at me like disobedience was a language he intended to translate with his mouth, his hands, and possibly his teeth. Wrong time, body. Very wrong damn time. The healer, a compact woman with silver-streaked braids and no patience for alpha nonsense, shoved past Isaiah. "If you two are finished flirting over a cursed object, his wound needs cleaning before the thorn poison reaches the bone." "I am not flirting," Ralph said. "You are bleeding possessively," Rena said. "It's practically the same thing for you." A sound almost escaped me. Almost. Fear crushed it flat before it became a laugh. The seed beat again. Thud. The crack in the gate widened by the width of a thread. Kaelin's voice returned, quieter now. "It will anchor before midnight." My throat tightened. "Anchor where?" "That depends on who feeds it best." Ralph's fingers flexed at his side. Kaelin continued, each word measured and cruel. "If it anchors in Blackwood, it will drink from his wolf. Slowly at first, then completely." Ralph did not react, but the bond between us did. Silver heat shivered under my skin, hard and panicked. "After everything," I said. "After he got his wolf back." "The gate does not care what he survived," Kaelin said. "Only what he is worth." Ralph's voice turned lethal. "Careful, Prince." Kaelin ignored him. "If it anchors in you, Imani, The hollow gate will use your body as its doorframe. You will not open portals. You will become one. Maya whispered. Absolutely not. And if it anchors in London's soil, Kaelin said, then the burned man will have a city for a body. Silence slammed down. Above us, somewhere deep in Redmoon House, the old pipes groaned as if the whole building had heard and did not like the future being discussed. I forced air into my lungs. So midnight, I said, because ancient magic apparently loves a dramatic deadline. Midnight, Kaelin confirmed. The healer pointed at Ralph. Sit down. I'm fine. You're a liar with blood on my floor. I said, sit, I snapped. Ralph looked at me. I looked back. For one beautiful second, the alpha of Redmoon Pack seemed to consider arguing. Then he sat on the edge of the stone table with the kind of controlled violence that made the guards suddenly develop an interest in the walls. His shirt came off next. That should not have affected me. We had bigger problems. Horrific problems. Root-based problems. Possible city-wide body horror problems. But his shirt peeled away from broad shoulders and blood-slick muscle, and my brain, treacherous bitch that it was, supplied memories of his weight over me, his mouth against my skin, his voice wrecked when he said my name like it was the only prayer he trusted. I took the cloth the healer handed me and stepped between his knees. Ralph's gaze dropped to my hands. Shannara. Don't start. If that thing reaches you through me, I said don't. His hand caught my wrist, not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to stop me. Gold moved through his stare, his wolf pressing close to the surface. I leaned closer, pressing the bloodied cloth to his shoulder. He hissed, the muscles in his stomach tightening. Do not make self-sacrifice sound sexy when I'm trying to be pissed at you. His eyes darkened. That was not meant to be sexy. Well, your face is involved, so here we are. Rena sighed. I hate that I understand their relationship now. The healer poured iron salt water over Ralph's wound. His body locked. A low sound built in his chest, not quite a snarl, not quite pain. His hand went to my hip, fingers digging in as if I were the only solid thing left in the room. I held the cloth harder against him and pretended my pulse was not acting like a fool. Black veins spread from the puncture in his shoulder, thin as threads. The healer's expression sharpened. Thorn splinter. Deep. Get it out, Ralph said. No shit, she replied. Honestly, I liked her. The seed beat faster. Thud, thud, thud. The roots pushed against Rena's iron circle, twitching toward the drops of Ralph's blood that had hit the floor. My silver mark warmed beneath my torn shirt. Not pain. Recognition. The seed knew me. The thought slid under my ribs and lodged there. I turned my head. Stop, I said. Everyone looked at me. So did the seed. The roots froze. For one heartbeat, the entire basement seemed to lean in. Kaelin's voice came through the crack, soft with warning. Careful, Imani. Doors adore being commanded. I'm not commanding it, I said, though my mouth had gone dry. I'm telling it to behave before I introduce it to a hammer. Maya nodded quickly. And she will. Shannara has attacked appliances for less. The healer dug silver forceps into Ralph's wound. This time, Ralph's control snapped enough that the table cracked under his grip. I stepped closer without thinking, my free hand sliding up the side of his neck. His skin was damp, fever-hot. His eyes found mine. Look at me, I whispered. I am. No, look at me like you're here, not back wherever pain sends men like you. Something shifted in his face, barely there, but I felt it through the bond. He came back to me. The healer pulled. A black thorn splinter slid free from his shoulder, slick with dark blood and silver poison. The second it hit the iron bowl, it writhed like a worm and turned to ash. The seed screamed. Not like a plant, not like magic, like a child. The sound tore through the basement, high and terrified, and my whole body jerked. Maya clapped both hands over her mouth. Isaiah moved in front of her, his control thinning so sharply the air tasted of wolf. The silver shell split, just a hairline crack down the center. Inside, something dark moved. Ralph shoved off the table. Wounded shoulder forgotten. Everyone back. But I could not move. Because from inside that tiny cracked seed, a voice whispered, small, broken, familiar from every nightmare that had ever dragged me toward a red door. "Dream girl," the child breathed. "Please hurry." The crack widened. A drop of red seeped out onto the stone. "He's feeding us to the door." The seed did not let us sleep. Every beat knocked through the iron box Rena had shoved it into, through the floor, through my bones, through the silver mark on my shoulder until I wanted to claw my own skin off. Thud, turn left, thud, go down, thud, hurry. So, naturally, because my life had become one long supernatural hostage situation, we followed the evil little heartbeat beneath London. Ralph hated the plan. I knew because he said nothing for 10 straight minutes while the pack armed themselves, which for Ralph Blackwood was basically a public tantrum. His shoulder had been bandaged, but black veins still laced under the edge of the dressing. He moved like pain was beneath his attention. It was infuriating. Sexy, unfortunately, but mostly infuriating. "You should stay behind," he said, as we reached the service entrance behind an old maintenance building near Highgate. I turned slowly. "Try again." His eyes narrowed. "Shannara." "No, use my full name if you want to start a fight. Make it official." Maya, standing behind me with a backpack full of iron filings, salt, 2 torches, and what looked suspiciously like snacks, whispered, "I love when divorce energy happens before the wedding." Isaiah looked at her. "This is not helping." "I'm human. Comic relief is my legal contribution." Dave stood near the back with 2 Redmoon guards flanking him like he might sprout fangs if left unattended. His face looked drawn, sweat shining at his temples, but his eyes stayed on the locked maintenance door. "I know this route," he said quietly. He used it before, not always physically. Sometimes he sent people through burning doors, but they came out near the old sealed platforms. Ralph's attention cut to him. The air tightened. Dave swallowed but did not look away. "I know you don't trust me." "No," Ralph said. "I don't." "Good, that makes 2 of us." Dave's gaze flicked to me, regret sitting heavy in it. "But those kids are down there. If I can help get even one out, use me." A month ago, those words would have cracked something in me. Now I just nodded. Children first, feelings later, preferably after a hot shower and a breakdown scheduled between meals. Rena unlocked the maintenance door with a key she absolutely had not acquired legally. "Everybody done with the emotional foreplay? Lovely. Into the murder tunnel we go." We descended into old London. Not the tourist version with red buses and overpriced cocktails. The other one. Damp brick, rusted rails, dead cables hanging like veins. The air smelled of metal, old rain, rat shit, and something sweeter underneath. Rotten flowers. Fey roots pushed through the tunnel walls and silver-black ropes, splitting Victorian brick like bone. Some curled around the rails. Others hung from the ceiling and twitched when we passed. The iron box in Rena's hand knocked again. Thud. My mark answered with a hot sting. "This way," I said. Ralph moved beside me, close enough that his arm brushed mine every few steps. Protective, possessive, annoyingly warm. "You feel it?" he asked. "I feel a cursed grape heart using me as Google Maps, yes." Maya made a noise behind me. "Please don't call it that. I ate its cousin." Isaiah's voice dropped. "Maya." "What?" "I'm processing." "No," Rena said. "You're narrating your trauma." Same thing with better branding. The tunnel dipped lower. The further we went, the less human London felt. The tiles along the walls changed from cracked white ceramic to something smooth and dark, like obsidian grown rather than placed. Old station signs blurred when I tried to read them. One said Highgate, another said Hollowgate. Then both names bled into each other until I blinked and looked away. A child cried somewhere ahead. Every joke died in my mouth. Ralph lifted one hand. The wolves spread out without a word. Isaiah shifted closer to Maya, his body blocking the left tunnel before anything even appeared there. We moved forward. The platform opened beneath us like a forgotten mouth. It had once been part of an underground station, I thought. There were tiled walls, broken benches, a rusted sign, and old tracks vanishing into black. But roots had taken most of it. They grew from the ceiling in thick cords and dangled down in clusters. And inside those clusters were children. My breath stopped halfway in. 5 of them hung root cocoons above the platform, wrapped from ankle to shoulder in silver-black vines. Their faces were dirty, their eyes closed, their small bodies twitched every time the roots pulsed. One little boy could not have been more than 7. A girl with beaded braids whispered in her sleep, "Open, open, open," over and over until my skin prickled. Maya stepped forward. "Oh, fuck no!" Isaiah caught her arm. "Wait! No, don't you wake me right now!" The roots snapped awake. A shriek tore down the tunnel, not from the children. From the things crawling out of the dark. They had once been vampires. Maybe. Their bodies were too long now, joints bent wrong, skin cracked with ash. Thorn growth split through their ribs. Black sap drooled from mouths packed with needle teeth. Cinder vampires. One launched from the tunnel wall. Ralph hit it mid-air. He was a blur of muscle, fury, and claws. The impact cracked the tile. The creature screamed as he drove it into the platform edge and ripped its throat out with one savage motion. Another came for me. I lifted my knife, which suddenly felt hilariously small. Bad plan, I told it. It lunged anyway. A wall of roots burst from the floor between us, not attacking me, obeying me. The creature slammed into them, snarling, claws tearing through bark. I felt the command sitting behind my teeth like a word I had always known but never used. Kaelin's voice whispered in my memory. Open, close, bar, name. The cinder vampire tore one arm free. I raised my hand. Bar! The word cracked out of me. The roots hardened into silver-black iron. The cinder vampire slammed against them again, and the barricade snapped shut like teeth. Its body split in 2. Ash and black sap sprayed across the tiles. For 1 second, even the monsters seemed offended. Then hell moved again. Rena darted beneath a swinging root, iron blade flashing. "Well, well, look who learned a party trick." "Compliment me later," I shouted. "Assuming we live. Positive thinking, Rena." A creature dropped from above. Isaiah shoved Maya behind him and took the hit in his shoulder, boots skidding across the platform. Maya grabbed a packet from her bag and flung iron filings straight into the thing's open mouth. It smoked and screamed. "That's for the kidnapping," she snapped, then hit it with her torch. "And that's for ruining my week, you ugly bastard." Isaiah stared at her for half a second too long. "Maya." "What?" His voice roughened. "Stay behind me." She pointed the torch at him. "If you tell me to stay behind you one more time, I'll shove this so far up your beta authority." A root lashed toward her ankle. Isaiah cut it before it touched her. Maya blinked. Okay, that one was fair. Dave ran past them toward the nearest cocoon. "Dave!" I shouted. He ignored me, climbing onto the broken bench and hacking at the vines around the little boy with a knife one of the guards must have given him against all common sense. A cinder vampire saw him. So did Ralph. Ralph crossed the platform like a nightmare with a pulse. He caught the creature by the back of its skull and smashed its face into the wall once, twice, 3 times, until it stopped being a face. Dave froze, arms around the freed child. Ralph looked at him. "Move." Dave moved. The little boy stirred against his chest, lashes fluttering. His eyes opened, silver. Every root in the station went still. The boy turned his head toward me. Not Dave, not Ralph, me. "Dream girl," he whispered. My knees threatened mutiny. I forced myself to walk to him. "What's your name, sweetheart?" His lips trembled. For a moment I thought he would answer. Then his mouth opened and something older spoke through him. "9 doors," he said. "9 mouths under stone." The seed in Rena's box beat so hard the iron dented outward. Ralph stepped closer, blood soaking through his bandage. The boy's silver eyes rolled toward him. "The river is the mouth," the child whispered. "The burnt house is the match." Ralph went utterly still. No rage, no threat, no movement, just a terrible, empty control that frightened me more than any snarl could have. The boy's small fingers clamped around my wrist. "When the Thames opens," he said, voice breaking back into a child's sob, "London drowns indoors." The children slept upstairs under iron wards and wolf guard. That should have made me feel better. It did not. They did not sleep like rescued children. They slept like little bodies trying not to become doors. Every so often, one of them murmured in a voice too old for their throat, and the gate heart answered from its iron box beneath Redmoon with that wet, awful beat. Thud. 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 By morning, my nerves had been scraped raw. Kaelin arrived with the sunrise, not through the hollow gate, not through smoke or roots or some dramatic bullshit archway that looked expensive and illegal. No, the Prince of Thorns came through Redmoon's front door under guest right, wearing black velvet, silver hair loose over his shoulders, and a thorn crown that looked far too sharp for a man who smiled that much. Ralph stood at the bottom of the stairs. He had not slept. His shoulder was bandaged beneath a black shirt, but the poison had left faint dark lines crawling under his skin. His expression was calm in the way loaded guns were calm. Kaelin's smile widened. "Alpha Blackwood, you look terrible." Ralph's voice held no warmth. "You have 10 seconds to explain why I should not tear out your throat in my hall." "Because your woman needs a teacher." I stepped down beside Ralph. Lovely, the walking red flag brought lesson plans. Maya leaned over the banister above us, wrapped in a dressing gown and holding a mug of coffee like holy water. "Ask if he brought biscuits. Evil news lands better with snacks." Isaiah appeared behind her, jaw tight. "Maya." "What? I'm contributing morale." Kaelin's dark eyes slid to me. "The hollow moon approaches. The gate heart must be anchored or contained before midnight. You cannot command what you do not understand." Ralph did not look away from him. "You will not touch her." "Physically?" Kaelin asked. "No." The air sharpened. Rena, standing near the study door with 2 knives strapped over her silk blouse, sighed. That answer was aggressively unhelpful. I lifted my chin. "Teach me." Ralph turned his head. The look he gave me should have made me reconsider at least 3 choices. It did not. "I'm serious," I said. "If doors want to treat me like family, I'd rather know how to slam them in somebody's face." Kaelin's gaze glittered. "There she is. Enjoy that tone while you have teeth." His laugh followed us down into the old lower hall where Redmoon's stone walls met the roots of the hollow gate. The seed beat below us in its iron prison. Every knock tugged at my silver mark. Kaelin stopped before an ancient wooden door that led to a storage room. "There are 4 commands a threshold heir must know," he said. "Open, close, bar, name." "Sounds simple," Maya said from the stairs. Kaelin looked amused. "So does dying, if you reduce it to the last breath." "Charming. I preferred him when he was trying to steal my best friend through marriage law." Ralph's mouth did not move, but I felt the smallest flicker of grim approval through the bond. Kaelin pointed to the old door. "Open is not permission, it is authority. You do not beg the door. You remind it what it is." I stared at the handle. It was just a door, except nothing in my life was just anything anymore. "Open," I said. The latch clicked. The door swung inward. Maya gasped. "Okay, that was hot and terrifying." "Close," Kaelin instructed. "Close." The door slammed so hard dust jumped from the frame. Kaelin smiled. "Better. Bar." A pressure built behind my teeth. Different from open, harder, meaner. Bar. Silver black lines burned across the doorframe, sealing it shut. Ralph's attention cut to the marks. "Can anything open it now?" "Her," Kaelin said. "Or something stronger than her." "Helpful again," I muttered. "Name is the most dangerous," Kaelin continued. "Names peel lies from things. A door with a false name becomes obedient once its true one is spoken. A monster hiding behind a title becomes smaller when named correctly." I thought of the burned man calling himself king. I thought of him calling Ralph son. My hands curled. Kaelin stepped closer. You refused a crown, Imani. That does not mean kingdoms will stop kneeling. Ralph moved. Not much. Just one step. The hall seemed to shrink around him. Kaelin did not step back. Careful, Alpha. Guest right protects me. Guest right does not protect you from consequences later. Then I shall enjoy the present. He lifted one hand, not touching me, but the roots in the wall stirred. My silver mark flared. Something cool and invasive slid along the edge of the bond. Not inside me exactly. Around me. Testing the seam between my soul and Ralph's, where the hollow gate had left old roots tangled in silver. My breath hitched. Ralph felt it. His eyes went almost fully gold. Kaelin, he said, and that one word carried death in expensive packaging. Kaelin's gaze stayed on mine. Do you feel it? Your bond is yours, yes, but some roots pass through my court. He may hold you, but the gate remembers the first claim. Rage sparked through me so fast it cleared the fear. No, I said. The root pressure tightened. I stepped toward it instead of away. Bah! The command punched through the hall. Silver heat exploded from my mark and slammed into the invisible thread between me and Kaelin. The prince staggered half a step, his smile breaking for the first time. Ralph caught my waist before my knees decided they were done participating in government. Kaelin touched 2 fingers to his chest, where a thin silver burn smoked through his velvet coat. Then he smiled again. There, he said softly. That is how you keep me out. Ralph's hand flexed at my hip. We are done. For now, Kaelin said, but she must anchor the command deeper, through choice, through trust, through the bond you insist is not a weakness. His eyes flicked between us with too much knowledge. I hated him immediately for being right. Ralph led me away without dragging me. That mattered. He did not bark an order. He did not throw me over his shoulder, though I knew the urge had probably crossed his controlling alpha mind and built a house there. He held out his hand. I took it because I wanted to. His bedroom was dark, curtains drawn, wards humming against the walls. For 1 second, we just stood there facing each other with the whole house breathing war around us. Then Ralph locked the door. Tell me this is not fear, he said. It's not fear. Tell me the bond is not pushing you. The bond can sit in the corner and learn manners. I stepped closer. I want you. His jaw tightened. He touched what was ours. Careful. His eyes met mine. What we chose, he corrected, voice rough. What chose us. Better. Then his mouth was on mine. There was nothing gentle about the first kiss. It was teeth and heat and anger with nowhere safe to go. I gave it back just as hard, fisting my hands in his shirt, careful of his wounded shoulder until he made a low sound against my mouth. Stop treating me like glass, he said. Stop bleeding on me every 40 minutes. His laugh was dark and brief. Then he stripped off his shirt, and every clever thing in my head burned to ash. He touched me like he was asking and taking at the same time, hands sliding under my clothes, mouth following the path of my breath when it broke. I was not spelled. I was not drugged on fey fruit. There was no queen smiling from a throne, no curse gripping his throat. Only me. Only him. Only the choice I kept making, even when it scared the hell out of me. When he lifted me, I wrapped my legs around his waist and bit his lower lip hard enough to make him curse. That mouth, he said. You like my mouth. I fucking love your mouth. He laid me on the bed like restraint physically hurt him. Then his hands were everywhere, dragging heat out of me until I forgot the gate, the seed, the prince downstairs with too many secrets. Ralph kissed down my body, all control and hunger, until I was gripping his hair and saying his name like a command. He looked up at me. Say it if you want me to stop. I swallowed hard. If you stop, I'll commit a crime. His smile was pure sin. Then he was over me, between my thighs, his body heavy and hot and real. When he pushed inside me, the bond lit silver under my skin. I arched into him, nails digging into his back. and he buried his face in my neck with a sound that was not polished, not controlled, not alpha. Just Ralph. Mine because he chose to be. The bond opened wide, and something cold slipped toward it. Kaelin, not his body, not even his voice, just the old root of the hollow gate, tasting the edge of our pleasure, trying to turn intimacy into a doorway. Ralph froze. "I feel him," he said, voice ruined. "So do I." His hands tightened on my hips. "I will kill him. Later." I pulled Ralph down and kissed him hard. "Move." His control snapped. He fucked me deep, rough enough to make the headboard crack against the wall, careful enough that I never doubted the hands on me. Pleasure built sharp and bright, silver gathering behind my ribs, behind my teeth, behind my name. The cold thread pushed again. I wrapped my arms around Ralph's neck and looked straight into the dark beyond the bond. "No one comes in," I whispered. The command rose with my climax. "Bar." Silver fire slammed through us. Ralph groaned against my mouth as the bond sealed, not shut between us, but around us, a living wall, a chosen lock. The cold thread snapped back so violently I heard something downstairs crack. Good. I hoped it was Kaelin's dignity. For a moment there was only Ralph's weight over me, our breath tangled, his forehead pressed to mine. Then the silver light behind my eyes twisted. A vision tore open. Christine knelt in the hollow court. Thorn armor grew from her shoulders into her skin, black and shining, beautiful in the cruel way poisonous things were beautiful. Blood ran down her arms, but she smiled as if pain had finally started obeying her. In her palm rested a black seed. It beat once. Christine lifted her face toward something I could not see. "If the human can grow a kingdom," she whispered, "so can I." Then the seed cracked open in her hand, and whatever was inside whispered my name. Christine requested parley with a dead rose. Of course she did. Normal traitors sent texts, emails, voice notes if they were feeling brave. Christine sent a black rose through Redmoon's outer ward, its stem wrapped in silver thread and its thorns wet with something that smoked when Rena dropped it into an iron bowl. A strip of skin-thin parchment uncurled from the petals. Highgate Cemetery. Dusk. Come if you want the first fire ash before he crowns himself. Ralph read it once. Then he said, "No." I leaned against the war table, still sore in places that made concentrating deeply inconvenient. That was powerful, short, useless. His eyes lifted to mine. Gold sat too close to the surface. "She wants you there." "Obviously, I'm charming." "She wants your blood." "Also popular." "Shannara." There it was. My name in that low warning tone, the one that made every sensible part of me sit down and every reckless part start applying lip gloss. I folded my arms. We cannot ignore information about First Fire Ash just because your ex-Luna candidate has decided to cosplay as a poisoned shrub. Rena, who had been examining the rose with a blade, hummed. Technically, she was never Luna candidate. She was politically convenient with good hair. Ralph did not look amused. Isaiah stood by the door, arms crossed. "It is a trap." Maya lifted one finger from the sofa, where she had been dramatically recovering from everything. "Just to clarify, when has anything not been a trap recently?" No one answered. "Exactly," she said. "At least this trap came with an address." Ralph stepped closer to me. The room seemed to tighten around him, all controlled violence wrapped in black clothes and bandages. "If she touches you, I will end her." "Put that on a greeting card." "I mean it." "I know you do." My voice softened before I could stop it. But those children heard the gate. Dave is still downstairs under guard. The seed is beating like a creepy little bastard in an iron box, and the burned man is building himself a throne out of London. If Christine knows where the ash is, we go. His jaw flexed. Through the bond, I felt the part of him that wanted to lock every door between me and the world. Then I felt him let it go. Not because he liked it. Because he respected my choice. Damn him for making growth attractive. Highgate Cemetery waited under a bruised evening sky. Wet grass clung to my boots. Ivy crawled over cracked angels and tilted crosses. The mausoleums stood half-swallowed by shadow, their stone mouths sealed, their iron gates rusted shut. Somewhere beyond the trees, London carried on pretending it was normal. Stupid city. Lucky city. Ralph walked at my side. Rena moved ahead like she owned the dead and had dressed accordingly. Black coat, sharp boots, silver pins in her hair. Isaiah stayed behind us with 3 Redmoon fighters. Maya had been banned from coming, which meant she had called everyone controlling dickheads and then hugged me hard enough to bruise. Christine waited near a broken monument beneath a yew tree. For 1 second, I saw the woman she had been at the Redmoon social. Beautiful, polished, every hair deliberate, every smile sharpened for rooms full of wolves and politics. Then she stepped into the last spill of daylight, and the truth showed. Thorn armor had grown into her body. Not over it, into it. Black vines curved over her shoulders and down her arms, threaded beneath her skin like something had planted itself in her veins and decided she made a lovely trellis. Tiny thorns crowned her throat. One curved from her collarbone, glossy and dark, pulsing faintly. Still beautiful, but rotten underneath. Christine smiled at Ralph first. Of course she did. Alpha. Ralph's expression did not change. Traitor. Her smile twitched, still blunt. Still alive, Rena said. Shame, really. Christine's gaze slid to her. Rena, still hiding knives in expensive clothes. Not hiding. Rena opened her coat just enough to show the blades strapped beneath. Christine's eyes finally landed on me. The thorns along her throat stirred. Threshold heir, she said, tasting the title like spoiled wine. How quickly humans collect names when powerful men hand them over. I smiled. How quickly bitter women rewrite stalking as destiny. Ralph's hand brushed my lower back once, a warning, or approval. With him it was often both. You said first fire ash, I said. Talk. Christine lifted one thorn-wrapped hand. The burned man cannot be killed by claw, silver, or pretty declarations of chosen love. He survived the first fire because something stronger than flame held him to this world. Ralph went still beside me. Christine's smile sharpened. Hatred, she said softly. Your hatred, Ralph. You burned him, but you did not release him. You made a tether. The cemetery seemed to lean closer. I hated that she knew where to strike. Ralph did not move, did not snarl, did not give her the pleasure, but through the bond, I felt the old wound open its eye. Christine continued. The ash from that first fire still remembers what made him. It can weaken him. It can burn the tether, but it will not destroy him while you keep feeding him rage. Ralph's voice came flat. Where is it? At the house. Her eyes gleamed. Where else would old sins keep their bones? The burned house, the place from the child's warning. The burned house is the match. What do you want? I asked. Christine turned to me fully. There she is, practical little human. She stepped closer, and the thorns in her armor clicked softly together. I want immunity from Redmoon punishment, full protection under council law. No, Ralph said. I was not finished. You were. Christine ignored him. And I want a public admission before the Alpha Council that I was meant to be Luna before she crawled into our world bleeding Fae problems all over your pack. Rena laughed once. Oh, darling, that is embarrassing even for you. Christine's face hardened. She looked at me, expecting something. Hurt. Insecurity. Maybe the urge to slap Ralph and ask if he had loved her. But I had seen Ralph's worst memory. I had seen the boy in the fire. I had felt his shame, his need, his choice. Christine had never wanted his heart. She wanted the seat beside his throne. You don't want justice, I said. You want a man to rewrite history because you can't survive the version where he didn't choose you. For one beautiful moment, her perfect mask cracked. There she was. Not noble, not wronged, just furious. The thorn crown hidden in her armor unfolded. Black points rose from her shoulders, curving upward like a crown that had decided blood was better than jewels. Then Christine attacked. She moved fast. Rena moved faster. Steel rang against thorn with a vicious, bright sound that scattered birds from the trees. Christine's arm became a blade of black wood, sweeping for my throat, but Rena cut beneath it, twisting, her silver hairpin already in her other hand. "Predictable," Rena snapped. Christine kicked her hard enough to send her sliding across the wet stone. Rena rolled, came up smiling, and drove a knife into the seam of Christine's thorn armour. Christine screamed. The ground split. Roots burst from the graves. Ralph shoved me behind him, claws punching through his fingers. Isaiah and the fighters met the roots before they reached us, blades flashing, wolves snarling through half-shifted teeth. I felt the cemetery doors then. Mausoleum doors. Grave doors. The deep-sealed little thresholds between the living and the dead. They turned toward me like dogs hearing a whistle. A root lunged. I lifted my hand. "Bah!" Silver-black force slammed across the path, and the root smashed into it, splintering. Another came from the left. I spun, sweat cooling down my spine. "Close!" A mausoleum gate snapped shut on the vine, severing it. Christine's eyes flashed. "Oh," she breathed, "he really did teach you." She flung Rena backward with a lash of thorn and came straight for me. Ralph intercepted her. The impact cracked the monument behind them. His hand closed around Christine's throat, claws pressing into thorn and skin. "You should have stayed hidden." Christine smiled through blood-dark lips. "And miss this?" Her armour opened at the wrist. A black thorn shot past Ralph, not at my heart, at my shoulder. Pain cut across my silver mark, hot and ugly. I cursed and staggered, clapping a hand over the wound, but one drop of blood lifted before I could stop it. It floated toward Christine, trembling in the air like it had heard its name. Ralph's control snapped at the edges. The force of him hit the cemetery like thunder. "Christine!" She caught the blood on the tip of her thorn. The drop sank in, her whole body arched. The crown on her shoulders bloomed wider, drinking me down. Rena lunged again, but Christine dragged her thorn through the air. "Open!" The word sounded wrong in her mouth. Borrowed. Hungry. A doorway split open between two graves, framed in black vines and red sparks. Through it, I saw a house burning in the distance. Old brick. Broken windows, fire chewing through the roof. Ralph's childhood house. His breath stopped beside me. Christine stepped backward into the thorn doorway, blood shining on her wrist. Her gaze found mine. "A name is enough if the door is hungry." Then she smiled at Ralph. "Come home, Alpha." The doorway snapped shut, and through the bond, I felt the fire waiting for him.
Fire had always been honest. It ate what it was given. Wood, flesh, air, memory. Hatred was different. Hatred did not burn out. It learned how to wait. We found the house just after midnight, hidden behind a row of dead trees and a rusted iron fence that should have collapsed years ago. It still stood because old magic had sunk its teeth into the place. The humans had called the fire a gas accident. Redmoon had buried the report. I had made sure no one spoke of it again. Christine had opened the way with Shannara's blood. I had followed because I had no choice. Shannara walked beside me with her coat pulled tight and the silver mark on her shoulder bandaged beneath it. The black thorn had cut deeper than she admitted. I smelled iron, salt, and her pain every time the wind moved. "You should have let the healer seal it properly," I said. "You should have stopped glaring at my shoulder like you wanted to murder the wound." "I do. I know. It's almost romantic." I looked at her. She lifted her chin. "Don't start, Ralph. I have not said anything. You're breathing in authoritarian." Even here, at the mouth of my oldest sin, she found a way to make me want her. It was inconvenient. It was necessary. It was the only thing keeping the fire inside me from becoming useful to him. The front door hung open. It had been locked when we arrived. Shannara noticed. "That's welcoming." "No," I stepped in front of her. "It's hungry." The house breathed smoke. Not real smoke, memory. It pushed through the doorway in slow grey coils, carrying the scent of petrol, burned wood, and old screaming. Shannara's fingers brushed mine. The bond tightened. I wanted to pull away before she saw too much. I did not. We entered together. The hallway changed with each step. Rotten boards became polished wood. Charred wallpaper stitched itself back together in strips of ugly green. A lamp flickered on a side table that had not existed in 13 years. Then I saw him. My younger self stood at the bottom of the stairs. 17, barefoot, blood on one cheek, a can of petrol in one hand, a lighter in the other. Shannara's breath snagged beside me. I closed my eyes. Too late. The bond had already opened. She saw what the house wanted her to see, not the whole of it, not every bruise, every locked door, every time my mother looked away because fear had made her smaller than herself. But enough. The stepfather's voice, the shove, the sound of a belt sliding from loops. The night I stopped being afraid and became something worse. I had told myself I burned him because he deserved it. That was only half the truth. I burned him because I wanted him to know he had lost. The younger me struck the lighter. Flame bloomed. Shannara whispered, "Ralph, do not pity him," I said. "I'm not. Do not pity me either." Her eyes lifted to mine. "I'm witnessing you. There's a difference." That cut deeper than pity would have. The house shifted again. We stood in the sitting room. The ceiling had collapsed. Moonlight fell through the broken roof and landed on the old hearth. It was the only thing untouched by rain or time. The ash waited there, black, silver, red at the edges, as if one breath would wake it. First fire ash. I crossed to it slowly. Every instinct in me rejected kneeling before that hearth. My wolf pressed against my ribs, not afraid, never that, but wary. The wound from Christine's thorn throbbed beneath my shirt. Shannara stayed close enough that I could feel her heat. When I touched the ash, the house opened me. Fire roared up around us. I was 17 again, he was screaming. But beneath the screams was something else. A tether. Not rope, not magic made by spellwork. This was uglier, mine. A black line running from my chest into his burning body. Hatred, pure and vicious, wrapping around him even as the flames took his skin. The moon goddess had not cursed me for destroying evil. She cursed me because in that moment, I had loved vengeance more than justice. The ash burned my palm. The truth pressed in. If I killed him with rage, he would feed. If I hated him enough, he would wear it as a crown. I pulled my hand back, breathing hard. Shannara caught my wrist. "Stay with me. I am here." "No, you're in there." She looked at the fire flashing across the walls. "Come back." I wanted to. I did not know how. The younger me watched from the corner, lighter still in hand, eyes full of a fury I understood too well. The house wanted me in that body again. It wanted my first hatred fresh. I stepped away from Shannara before I touched her wrong. She followed. "Don't," I said. "Don't what?" "Save me." Her mouth tightened. "I'm not saving you. I'm standing here while you save yourself, which is apparently more difficult because you're stubborn as fuck." The corner of my mouth almost moved. Then the fire cracked in the walls, and the old scream came again. I flinched. I hated that she saw it. Her expression changed, not soft, not fragile, certain. She took my hand and placed it on her waist. My fingers tightened before I could stop them. "Shannara, no. Ask the thing you're actually afraid of asking." The flames threw gold over her brown skin. Her eyes didn't leave mine. I swallowed the words down once. It rose again, rougher. "Am I touching you?" I asked. "Or am I trapping you?" Her answer came without hesitation. "Touching. And if you stop because of him, I'll be furious. The tether in the hearth pulsed. I bent my head and kissed her. It was not gentle. I had no gentleness left in that room. But I knew her mouth now. I knew when she wanted more and when she needed space to breathe. She gave me the kiss back with both hands in my coat, dragging me closer, as if the house, the fire, the past could all go fuck themselves. I lifted her onto the scorched edge of an old table. It held, barely. She made a small, angry sound against my mouth when I checked her shoulder, instead of taking what she offered. I said, "Touch me," she breathed. "You're hurt. You're haunted. We're both busy." I pressed my forehead to hers. "Tell me if I become too much." "You don't get to decide that for me." No, I did not. That was the point. I kissed her again and let my hands learn her in the middle of the place that had once taught me only destruction. I opened her coat, pushed up her shirt, and felt her shiver under my palms. Not from fear, from me, from want. The knowledge steadied something savage in me. She pulled at my belt with impatient fingers. "Careful," I said. Her eyes flashed. "Do not careful me right now." I caught her wrists and held them between us for one heartbeat, giving her every chance to refuse the weight of me. She smiled, sharp and beautiful. "Now you're touching," she whispered. The last of my restraint broke where it was meant to. I freed her hands. She dragged my mouth back to hers, biting my lower lip hard enough to make heat punch through me. I shoved her skirt up, gripped her thighs, and knelt long enough to taste that she wanted me without spell, fruit, curse, or crown. Her fingers locked in my hair. Her head fell back, and my name left her mouth like an order I would obey until death. The house groaned around us. I ignored it. I worked her with my tongue, then my fingers, slow enough to feel every tremor she tried to hide. She cursed me when I paused. I liked that too much. "Ralph." I looked up. Her lips were parted. Her chest rose fast. Her eyes were dark with need and command. "Inside me," she said. "Now." I stood. I did not rush. Even with the fire watching, even with my past clawing at the walls, I made myself enter her slowly, inch by inch. Her hands gripped my shoulders. Mine held her hips, careful of the bandage, careful of the wound, not careful with the truth of how much I needed her. When I was fully inside her, I stopped. The bond opened silver between us. Not clean, not pretty, alive. She wrapped her legs around me. "Move." I moved. The table struck the wall with each thrust. The fire snapped higher, trying to turn pleasure into memory, but Shannara held my face between her hands and forced my eyes to stay on hers. "Here," she said. "Not then. Here." I fucked her harder because she asked for it, because she met me every time, because she was not something I took shelter in. She was the storm standing with me. My control cracked, but it did not disappear. I felt every place our bodies joined, every sound she made, every bite of her nails through my shirt. When she clenched around me, I buried my face against her neck and came with her name caught between my teeth. The fire guttered. The house exhaled. For one breath, it was only us. Then the hearth laughed. I pulled back and turned, placing myself between Shannara and the fireplace before she had even fixed her clothes. The flames inside the hearth burned red. A man stepped through them wearing an old human face. Unburned, familiar, wrong. My stepfather smiled at me. "Hello, son." The word hit the tether. Rage rose, immediate and starving. The burned man's smile widened. "There he is." Shannara's hand found the back of my shirt, not holding me back, reminding me where I stood. I reached into the hearth without looking away from him and closed my burned fingers around the first fire ash. It bit into my skin. I let it. You want me angry? I said. I made you, he whispered. No. The ash flared. His human face peeled at the edges, showing cinder and black sap beneath. I survived you, I said. Then I threw the ash into the fire. He screamed as silver-black flame climbed his borrowed face. The house shook. The doorway behind him tore wider, showing roots, children's eyes, and something crowned moving in the dark. Shannara seized my hand. Close, she commanded. The hearth slammed shut. The fire vanished. We ran. By the time we reached Redmoon, dawn had started bruising the sky. The wards were screaming. I entered the basement first. Dave's guard lay unconscious beside the hollow gate, throat bruised but breathing. Dave was gone. In the stone floor, burned deep enough that the edges still smoked, was one word. Handle.
Maya's point of view.
By the time we reached Soho, I had accepted 3 things. 1, Dave had been kidnapped and turned into a supernatural door handle, which was rude even by London standards. 2, the vampire underworld was officially more scared of the burned man than it was of Ralph Blackwood, and that was deeply fucking concerning. 3, Isaiah touching the back of my neck in public was going to ruin my entire moral structure. The ruins of the gilded veins sat beneath Halo like a rich man's corpse. Gold wallpaper peeled from the walls in wet strips. The velvet booths were slashed open, stuffing, spilling out like guts. The old dance floor still glittered beneath ash and broken glass, but the glamour had rotted. Rotten gold. That was what the place smelled like. Money, blood, smoke, and fear. Ralph moved ahead with Shannara at his side, looking like murder had finally found matching boots. Rena followed with a blade in each hand and the expression of a woman who had woken up, disappointed no one had tried to stab her yet. Isaiah kept me close, too close. His hand rested at my nape, fingers spread under my hair, thumb against the racing pulse in my throat. To anyone watching from the shadows, I looked claimed, protected, owned if they were nasty enough. The problem was my body had apparently skipped feminism and gone straight to please, sir, ruin me behind a wall. You're enjoying this, Isaiah murmured near my ear. I am terrified. You smell aroused. I nearly tripped over a broken champagne bucket. That is an invasion of privacy. That is biology. That is you being a smug wolf bastard. His fingers tightened slightly. Not painful, possessive enough that heat punched low in my belly. Oh, brilliant, fantastic. We were in a vampire murder town and my vagina had decided to write poetry. A figure stepped from behind the ruined bar. Silas Vane looked less like the elegant vampire club lord I remembered and more like a man who had been dragged through hell by his designer collar. His gold suit was scorched. One side of his face bore cinder cracks beneath the skin, glowing faintly red. Alpha Blackwood, Silas said. Dream girl. Shannara's eyes narrowed. Call me that again, and I'll open a door under your expensive shoes. Silas inclined his head. Threshold air, then? Ralph's voice was flat. Where is Dave? Silas smiled without humour. Screaming. My chest pinched. For all Dave's stupidity, insecurity, and spectacular ability to make the worst possible decision with full commitment, I did not want him screaming somewhere because he had tried to help. Isaiah's hand slid from my nape to my waist, grounding me, annoyingly effective. Silas looked around the room. Shadows shifted. Vampires watched from broken balconies and black doorways, their eyes shining. None came close. They won't attack unless commanded, Silas said. Most of them still enjoy existing. Talk, Ralph ordered. Silas tapped the bar twice. A section of wall opened behind him, revealing a narrow corridor lined with cracked mirrors. Not here. The walls have started listening. Everything listens now, Shannara muttered. We followed. The corridor forced us into pairs. Ralph and Shannara first, Rena behind them. Isaiah and I came last, his body close enough that every step brushed me against him. My nerves were shot. My fear was high. My arousal had become painful in a way that made me want to punch something or climb him like an emergency exit. "Stop breathing like that," I whispered. "I'm breathing normally." "Then stop doing it near my neck." His mouth brushed my ear. "Behave, Maya." Wrong thing to say. Absolutely the wrong thing to say. My hand drifted back and pressed over the front of his trousers. He stopped walking. I felt him harden beneath my palm. Oh, that was deeply educational. "Maya," he said, voice low enough to scrape. "What?" I whispered. "I'm behaving badly. There's a difference." I slid my fingers lower, teasing the shape of him, then slipped my hand beneath his waistband because apparently near death had turned me into a horny criminal. He caught my wrist and swatted my hand away. Not cruel, not rough, final. "Not here," he said. I looked over my shoulder at him. "You sure?" His eyes had gone dark, wolf close enough to make my knees unreliable. "If you keep touching me, I will fuck you against this wall and kill anything that interrupts. That is not strategy." "It sounds motivational." "It sounds like you trying to distract yourself from fear." My mouth opened. Nothing clever came out. Rude. Isaiah's thumb stroked once over my wrist before he released me. Later. I hated how much that one word did to me. Silas led us into a private chamber beneath the club. The walls were black stone veined with gold, but the gold had gone dull, diseased. In the centre stood a table covered in ledgers, old maps, blood bags, and one iron bowl full of smoking ash. "The burned man is no longer simply vampire," Silas said. "He is cinder rot, Gateborn before the crown. He needs a human handle to open doors from your side." "Dave," I said. Silas glanced at me. "Branded with a cinder sigil. As long as he lives, the burned man can force thresholds to answer." Shannara's hands curled on the table. "The 9 doors." Silas pushed a map forward. "Hollow moon rises tomorrow. 9 sealed portals beneath London will open if the gate heart roots fully. Redmoon, the burned house, this club, an abandoned tube platform, Highgate, a church crypt, a council safe house, a river mouth on the Thames." "And the 9th?" Ralph asked. Silas's cinder cracks brightened. "It refuses to be written." Rena leaned over the ledger. "What feeds the gate heart?" Silas's smile broke. "Children. Fear. Names spoken in the dark. He makes them beg doors to open, and the gate drinks the wanting." I had never wanted to vomit and stab someone at the same time so badly. A sound cracked through the chamber. Not from outside. From Silas. He clutched his throat as black smoke leaked between his teeth. Rena lifted her knives. "He's marked." Silas slammed one ledger toward me. "Take it!" I grabbed it without thinking. The cover was warm. Names filled the pages. Missing children, routes, delivery points, door sites. My hand shook so hard the paper fluttered. Then the far wall burst open. Cinder vampires poured through. They were wrong. Worse than before, skin split with ash, thorns pushing from ribs, mouths wet with black sap. Ralph shifted halfway before my brain finished screaming. Shannara shouted, "Bah!" and a door of silver-black force crushed 2 creatures against the wall. Rena laughed like a lunatic and went straight for their knees. Isaiah shoved me behind him. A cinder vampire lunged from the left. He tore its throat out before it touched me, but another slammed him into the gold-veined wall. I swung the iron bowl with both hands and smashed it into the thing's head. Ash exploded. It screamed. "I helped!" I shouted. Isaiah grabbed my hand. "Run!" We ran through the mirror corridor, ledger clutched to my chest. Behind us, the chamber shook with claws, commands, and Rena swearing creatively. A side door opened into a narrow service passage behind the club, all damp brick and darkness. Isaiah pulled me in, shut the door, and pressed me back against the wall. For 1 second, we just breathed. Then, he looked down at me. The danger was still there. The screams, the fight, the whole world trying to become a doorway. But his hands were on me, and I was alive. And fear had turned into something sharp enough to hurt. "You said later," I whispered. His control cracked across his face. "Maya." "I'm choosing it." I grabbed his shirt. "I'm choosing you. Right now. If that makes me reckless, excellent, I have branding." He kissed me hard enough to steal the next stupid joke from my mouth. Thank God. His hand shoved my coat open, then my trousers. Mine went to his belt, and this time he did not stop me. He helped. Fast, efficient, shaking only once when my fingers wrapped around him. "Tell me no," he said against my mouth. "No is not currently in my vocabulary." His laugh was rough and gone too quickly. He turned me, braced one hand beside my head, and pushed inside me from behind with a slow, filthy pressure that made my knees buckle. His arm locked around my waist, holding me up as I bit down on my own fists to keep quiet. "Fuck," I breathed. "Yes," he said, voice racked. "Exactly." It was quick because it had to be, but not careless. Never careless. He knew where to touch me, how to angle his hips, how to keep one hand over my mouth when I got too loud and whisper, "Good girl," like he wanted to punish us both with it later. I came hard, shaking against the wall, my body clenching around him while the city burned somewhere above us. He followed with his face pressed into my neck, silent except for one broken sound that felt more intimate than a confession. Then he fixed my clothes before his own. That almost finished me off again. "Do not make aftercare sexy in a murder tunnel," I muttered. His mouth touched my temple. "Do not make jokes when your hands are shaking. They multitask." The door at the end of the passage blew inward. So much for recovery. Isaiah dragged me behind him as Ralph, Shannara, and Rena burst through from the other side, all blood and ash and fury. "Ledger?" Shannara asked. I held it up. Stolen, very heroic, possibly sticky. A burning doorway opened behind the collapsed bar. Everyone turned. Dave stood on the other side. His shirt was torn, a cinder sigil burned across his chest, bright as a brand fresh from hell. His eyes found Shannara first, then me, wild and horrified. "He's using me as the handle!" Dave screamed. A blackened hand yanked him backward. "Dave!" Shannara shouted. The doorway snapped shut. The ledger in my arms pulsed. Then something whispered behind my ribs. Not in my ears. Inside me. "Witness next."
By the time we got back to Redmoon, I smelled like vampire ash, old champagne, and poor life choices. Maya had not stopped clutching the ledger since Soho. Her knuckles were tight around it, her lipstick smudged, her curls half fallen from whatever pins had bravely tried to survive the night. "If anyone asks," she said, voice too bright, "I handled the Vampire Club situation with grace, tactical genius, and only one tiny mental breakdown." Isaiah stood so close behind her, his shadow covered half her body. "No one is asking." "Good, because I'm lying." Ralph took the ledger from her carefully, which was how I knew he understood she might bite. His shirt was torn, first fire ash sealed in an iron vial against his chest, and the bond between us still tasted faintly of smoke and the burned house. The Alpha Council was waiting in the war room. Of course they were. Nothing said, "Welcome home from Nightmare Soho," like a pack of powerful werewolves deciding my existence was a political inconvenience. They had filled the room with broad shoulders, expensive coats, and fear dressed up as authority. Councilman Voss stood at the head of the table, silver beard trimmed neat, eyes hard. Lady Marwick sat beside him with her hands folded over a cane capped in wolf-bone. 3 other alphas lined the wall, each pretending not to look at the iron box on the side table. Inside it, the silver seed beat softly. Thump, like a heart that had learned patience. Voss looked at me first, not Ralph, not the ledger, me. "There she is," he said. "The source." I smiled without warmth. "Lovely to see you too, Grandpa Doom." Ralph's hand moved to my lower back, possessive, warning, steadying. Voss ignored me. "Since Miss Adeyemi Baptiste entered Redmoon, our wards have failed. The hollow gate has opened, children have been taken, and now 9 sealed portals may tear London apart." "Careful," Maya said. "You're 1 sentence away from blaming her for council hairlines." Lady Marwick's gaze snapped to her. "Human, you will be silent." Isaiah stepped forward. The air changed around him. Not loud, worse. "Maya is a witness under Redmoon protection," he said. "Speak to her with respect." Marwick's mouth tightened, but she leaned back. Ralph placed the ledger on the table. "The burned man is using Dave as a human handle. The children's fear is feeding the gate heart. We plan, we move, we do not waste time performing blame." Voss's eyes flicked to Ralph. "Your judgment is compromised." There it was. The sentence every frightened man in power kept tucked behind his teeth. Ralph went dangerously still. "Choose your next words well." "You are bonded to the threshold heir," Voss said. "Your wolf responds to her. Your decisions place her above the pack." "No," Ralph said. "My decisions place the pack above cowards." A low ripple moved through the council wolves. Voss's face hardened. "Some believe she should be given to the Hollow Prince until the Hollow Moon passes." My breath snagged. Kalen, leaning beautifully against the far wall because apparently drama summoned him by scent, lifted one silver brow. "How generous of you to donate what does not belong to you." "Some," Marwick added, "believe she should be contained beneath Redmoon, iron-reinforced, guarded, for her safety and ours." Ralph's fingers flexed once at my back. I felt the violence in him rise and clamp down. He would kill them for touching me. He would start a pack war in this room, and because I loved the impossible bastard, I stepped away from his hand before he could. "Fine," I said. Ralph's head turned. "No." I looked at him. "Let them." His eyes burned gold. "Shannara, I want to see how stupid they are." Voss nodded to 2 guards. They escorted me downstairs to a small iron-reinforced chamber near the old wine cellar. The walls had been lined with iron strips. The door was thick oak plated in black metal, marked with warding sigils that made my skin prickle. "For your own good," one guard muttered, not meeting my eyes. I almost laughed. The door shut. 3 locks turned. For a moment I stood there in the dark and listened to Redmoon breathing around me. Pipes, stone, distant voices, the soft pulse of the hollow gate beneath everything. They thought iron made a room less of a threshold. They forgot a locked door was still a door. I placed my palm flat against it. Open. The command left me calm. The door obeyed violently. Locks snapped. Hinges screamed. Iron bolts shot backward and buried themselves in the opposite wall. One guard yelped and threw himself aside as the door swung open hard enough to crack stone. I walked back into the war room with dust on my boots and my patience buried somewhere shallow. Every argument died mid-breath. I went to the table, planted both hands on the map, and looked at the council. "If any of you lock me away for my own good again," I said, "I'll show you exactly why the gate chose me." Maya whispered, "That was very sexy, and I'm emotionally confused." Ralph's mouth almost curved. "Almost." Kalen looked delighted. "Threshold magic responds well to insults." "Everything responds well to insults if you mean it," I said. Then we worked. The ledger gave us names, routes and places marked in rotten gold ink. Ralph added what the first fire ash had shown him. Kalen translated the symbols that hurt my eyes when I stared too long. 9 portals. The hollow gate beneath Redmoon, the burned house, the gilded vein ruins. The abandoned tube platform where the children had been cocooned in roots. A river point along the Thames. The old Fey burial ground beneath Highgate. A sealed church crypt in Southwark. A council-owned safe house in Mayfair, which made every alpha suddenly allergic to eye contact. And one unknown door. The ink refused to settle around it. I pressed my finger to the blank space. Name. The map bucked. Black lines crawled under my nail. I hissed and pulled back as the parchment smoked. Kaylin's expression lost its amusement. That door is being hidden by witness magic. Maya went very still. Isaiah noticed before I did. His hand found her wrist. She gave him a brittle smile. Probably unrelated to the creepy voice that said, "Witness next," behind my ribs, right? No one lied fast enough. Hours blurred into strategy. By the time the council left to prepare their packs, the first edge of dawn had burned away, and the hollow moon waited less than a night from rising. Ralph found me in his office, staring at maps spread across his desk. He locked the door behind him. The sound went straight through me. "You should sleep," he said. "You should stop giving advice you have no intention of taking." He crossed the office slowly. "We may die tomorrow." I turned. "Do not dress that up for me." I was not. "Good." He stopped close enough that the heat of him pressed against my front. His control was there, but cracked, smoke under stone. "I cannot promise you safety," he said. "I didn't choose you because you were safe." His hand slid to my throat, thumb resting over my pulse. Not squeezing, asking. I lifted my chin. Yes. That was all he needed. His mouth took mine hard, and the fear I had been carrying all night broke open into hunger. I shoved his jacket off. He cleared the desk with one sweep of his arm, maps sliding but not falling, because even horny Ralph was offensively competent. "On the desk," he ordered. I climbed up, breath already uneven. Bossy. Alive. The word hit harder than his hands. He pushed my thighs apart and stepped between them, kissing me until my anger turned liquid and my body remembered it was made for more than surviving. I pulled at his belt. He caught my wrist, eyes dark. "Tell me," he said. "I want you inside me." His control frayed. I leaned close, mouth against his ear. "I want you to fuck me on these maps so tomorrow knows exactly who I chose." He made a rough sound and stripped me open with shaking discipline. No magic, no fruit, no crown. Just his hands, my consent, our terror, and the brutal need to feel alive before war tried to take us. When he pushed into me, I dug my nails into his shoulders and gasped his name. He did not rush, even with death waiting. Especially because of it. He filled me slowly at first, watching my face, making sure every inch was wanted. Then I wrapped my legs around him and dragged him deeper. "Harder," I breathed. His eyes flashed gold. "You will tell me if—" "I'll tell you to stop when I want you to stop. Right now, I want you to move." So he did. The desk slammed beneath us. Maps wrinkled under my palms. His mouth found my neck, my jaw, my breast, teeth and tongue and heat. I held on to him while he fucked me like control was something he could spend only because I had given him permission. The bond surged silver. Pleasure turned into vision. London unfolded beneath me. The Thames opened first, black water splitting around the red light. Then the tube platform, the gilded vane, the church crypt, the council safe house. Highgate's buried fey bones, the burned house flaring like a match, the hollow gate screaming beneath red moon. And the ninth had no shape. Only Maya's voice saying my name from behind a locked door. I came with a sob caught in my throat, and Ralph followed, his body shaking over mine, his forehead pressed to mine as if he could hold me in this world by will alone. Then the house screamed, not for me. From below, the hollow gate called one name. "Maya!" I shoved Ralph back, already moving. We reached the basement as Maya staggered beside the iron box, eyes wide, one hand clamped over her chest. A silver vine uncurled from the cracked stone and wrapped around her wrist. Isaiah lunged for her. The vine tightened. Kaelin appeared at the base of the stairs, crown shadows cutting across his beautiful face. "The witness," he said softly, "has been marked." Maya hit the stone before Isaiah could catch her, not because he was slow, because the gate cheated. The silver vine around her wrist yanked tight, holding her half upright for one horrible second before her knees folded. Her eyes stayed open, but there was nothing behind them. No joke, no panic, no Maya, just silver. Isaiah lunged. Ralph caught him around the chest and drove him back into the wall hard enough to crack plaster. "Let me go," Isaiah said. It was not a request. It was barely human. "If you touch that vine, it takes you too," Ralph said. Isaiah's claws punched through his fingertips. "She's dying." "She's being pulled," Kaelin corrected, far too calm for a man standing in my basement while my best friend was being dragged through supernatural bullshit. "Not killed, not yet." I rounded on him. "Explain, fast." Kaelin's black thorn crown cast shadows over his silver hair. For once, he did not look amused. "The gate could not mark you. Your bond is too guarded now. Ralph's blood is poison to it after the first fire ash. So it chose the one person who has seen every impossible thing and remained unclaimed by court, pack, or moon." "Maya," I breathed. "The witness." On the floor, Maya's fingers twitched. The vine pulsed around her wrist, silver crawling under her skin in thin lines. Isaiah made a sound that raised every hair on my arms. Ralph held him tighter. "Beta." "No." Isaiah fought him, eyes burning gold. "Do not command me when she needs you thinking," Ralph snapped. "Not breaking." That landed. Barely. Isaiah stopped struggling, but the restraint on his face looked painful enough to split bone. I knelt beside Maya. The vine recoiled from me, then tightened again as if it had teeth buried in her pulse. "Where is she?" I asked. Kaelin crouched opposite me. A dream threshold. The burned man is using her fear to find a door. "This is mirror water again." "No." His dark eyes lifted to mine. Mirror water showed desire and regret. This will show exit. My mouth dried. Maya, who had joked her way through vampires, fey fruit, wolves, blood, and near death, had been offered a way out. Of course the bastard knew where to cut. "I'm going in," I said. Ralph's head snapped toward me. "No." I looked at him. "Don't." His jaw worked once. He looked from me to Maya, then to the vine wrapped around her wrist. "She is not the gate's only target," he said. "She's mine," I answered. "My friend, my problem, my door." Something in his expression cracked, but he did not stop me. He came close instead, crouched behind me, and pressed his hand to the back of my neck. Warm, steady, mine. "If it tries to keep you," he said quietly, "you call me." "I always do. You argue first." "Usually because you're being annoying." His thumb brushed once against my skin. Then I placed my palm over Maya's vine and said, "Open." The basement vanished. I landed on wet pavement beneath a London sky made of doors. They hung where clouds should have been. Red doors, blue doors, black ones with brass knockers, cheap flat doors with peeling paint, club doors guarded by faceless men, hotel ballroom doors shining with gold handles, tube doors opening and shutting with no train behind them. Every street led to another threshold. Every threshold whispered Maya's name. I stood outside her old flat. I knew it because she had described it enough times. The cracked step, the dodgy intercom, the neighbour who cooked fish at criminal hours, the window box she always forgot to water but refused to throw away. Only now the window box was full of tiny silver vines. The door stood open. Inside, Maya sat on the floor in the middle of her living room, barefoot, wearing the black dress from the charity gala. The one from before everything, before Ralph, before vampires, before the first time she saw Isaiah tear something apart to keep her alive. A television played static in the corner. On the sofa sat the burned man, not fully formed, not like before. His body flickered between burned flesh, cinder-thorn rot, and Dave's outline, like he was borrowing shapes from everyone he had damaged. His voice came soft. All she has to do is open the right door. Maya stared at the hallway. At the end of it, a plain white door glowed with morning light around the edges. No blood, no wolves, no fae. Normal. Safe. Maya, I said. She flinched, then turned her head. Her eyes filled with recognition and panic at the same time. Oh, thank fuck, she whispered. I was starting to think my subconscious had run out of hot people and settled for barbecue Voldemort. The burned man smiled. My skin prickled. She laughs because she's afraid, he said. I know, I replied. I've met her. Maya swallowed. He said if I go through that door, I wake up before the gala. The room tightened around us. He said I don't meet vampires. I don't get kidnapped by fae bullshit. I don't find out my best friend is basically a magical doorway with attitude. I don't... Her voice broke. I stepped closer. I don't become whatever this is, she finished, lifting her marked wrist. I don't lose myself. The burned man leaned forward. You were never meant for their world. Wolves take, fae claim, gates eat. Open the door, little witness, and be human again. Maya looked at me, and there it was. Not weakness. Grief. She wanted her old life back. Even the shitty parts. Rent. Work. Men who disappointed her in ordinary ways. Nights out where the worst thing waiting in the dark was an overpriced Uber. I can't tell you it gets easier, I said. That is the worst rescue speech ever. I know. I crouched in front of her. But I can tell you that you don't have to become one of them to survive them. A shaky laugh escaped her. Good. Because I refuse to start sniffing people as a communication style. There she is. Her mouth trembled. What if Isaiah wants a version of me that can handle this? A sound moved through the flat. A voice, distant at first, coming through the walls like a neighbour arguing with heaven. Maya. Isaiah. The burned man's expression sharpened. Maya went still. His voice came again, rougher. Maya, hear me? The flat flickered. The white door at the end of the hall shook in its frame. I can't go in after you, Isaiah said from somewhere beyond the dream. If I could tear the world open with my hands, I would. Maya pressed a fist against her mouth. I know you are frightened, he continued. I know this world has taken too much without asking. The burned man hissed. He will bind you. He is wolf. Isaiah's voice cut through, fierce and shaking. You owe my wolf nothing. Maya's eyes filled. I almost called you mine because I was afraid, he said. I will not do that to you. Not like this. Not because the gate forced a mark into your skin. The room softened around the edges. I choose you, Isaiah said, and I will wait until you choose every part of this with a clear head. But come back to me if you want to. Not as a pack. Not as a prophecy. As Maya. For once in her life, Maya had no joke ready. The burned man stood, the sofa rotted beneath him. Touching, he said. Useless, but touching. The white door burst open. Behind it was not safety. It was a throat. A huge, wet, root-lined passage pulsing red and silver. Children's voices cried from inside it. The doorknob had Dave's branded handprint burned into the metal. Maya recoiled. That is not my flat. No, I said. It's his mouth. The burned man's face peeled wider. A witness opens what a key cannot. The silver mark around Maya's wrist flared. She screamed. I grabbed her hand. The dream tried to shove me back. Doors slammed up around us, clubs, venues, toilets where she had fixed my makeup, ballrooms where we had worked until our feet went numb. Every human place we had ever stood together became a trap with hinges. So I stopped looking for the right door. I used the command Kaelin had taught me. Name. The word did not echo. It struck. Every door in the sky turned toward me. I held Maya's hand tighter. Maya, I said, and the mark burned under my palm. Human. One door shattered. Witness. Another broke. Friend. The flat split down the middle. Her own damn self. The burned man snarled as the white door collapsed inward, taking the fake mourning with it. Maya sucked in a breath. The vine around her wrist snapped. We crashed back into Redmoon's basement. Maya woke screaming, then immediately coughed and said, "I hate magic! I hate doors! I hate all architecture!" Isaiah dropped to his knees in front of her, hands hovering like he was terrified to touch without permission. Maya looked at him. Then she grabbed his shirt and pulled him against her. He folded around her, shaking. I pushed myself upright, dizzy and sweating. Ralph's hand found my shoulder. "Shannara, I'm here." Then I saw the iron box, open, empty. My breath snagged. "No," I whispered. Kalen stood at the cracked, hollow gate, his beautiful face stripped of every lazy smile. Beyond the split in the stone, on the hollow side, something had grown. A black-silver sapling rose from the dark, its roots sunk deep into red earth. Blood-red leaves unfurled one by one, wet and shining. Every leaf beat with Ralph's heartbeat. Behind it, in the dark, the burned man laughed. "Now I have the blood," he whispered. "Now I need the name."
The hollow moon rose while Maya was still shaking in Isaiah's arms. I felt it before I saw it. Every old seal beneath London turned at once. Not opened, not yet, just moved, grinding in the dark like locks remembering the hands that built them. The hollow gate beneath Redmoon answered first. The cracked stone split wider. Red light bled up the basement walls. The black-silver sapling on the other side stretched toward us, its blood-red leaves beating with my heart. Mine. The thing had stolen the rhythm from inside my chest and hung it from branches. Shannara stood beside me with her silver mark burning through the torn shoulder of her shirt. Her eyes stayed on the gate. Fear moved through the bond, sharp and honest, but she did not step back. I wanted her behind me. I wanted her locked somewhere no crown, no god, no dead thing could reach her. I did neither. "Ralph," she said quietly, "I know." The first portal tore open in the air above the basement floor. A cinder vampire fell through it, all ash-split skin and thorn ribs, mouth dripping black sap. I crossed the space before it landed and drove my claws through its chest. It thrashed once. I ripped upward. Its body came apart in my hands. Then the war arrived. Redmoon shook under the weight of opening doors. Through the pack link, voices hit me from every direction. "Highgate's breached. Southwark Crypt is bleeding roots. Gilded Vein has fire coming from the walls. The tube platform's active again. Mayfair safe house compromised. Council wards failed. The Thames is opening. The burned house is lit. And the 9th, I demanded. Static. Then Maya's voice, thin but steady from Isaiah's side. "It's following me." A door appeared behind her without a wall. Isaiah moved instantly, putting himself between Maya and the thing. Silver light crawled around the frame. Inside was not a room. It was a long black throat lined with roots. Shannara lifted one hand. Bar. The door slammed shut so hard the stone floor cracked. Maya breathed. "I officially hate being important." No one laughed. There was no space left for it. The gate screamed open. Roots burst through the floor. Wolves shifted around me, bodies snapping from flesh to fur, teeth flashing in the red light. Redmoon met the first wave head-on. I gave orders until my throat burned. Rena, left flank. Isaiah, children. Shannara stays with the gate. Shannara cut me a look. "With me," I amended. Her mouth tightened. "Better." Kalen stepped through a wound in the air with hollow soldiers at his back. Their armor was black thorn and moon thread, their faces too beautiful to trust. "For the threshold air," he said. "Not for Redmoon?" I asked. His smile had no warmth. "Do not ask for miracles, Alpha." I let him live because we needed bodies between the children and the dark. The missing children were brought through next, not willingly. Roots dragged them from doorways across London, cocooned in silver threads, eyes glowing like candles. living door lights. Their names had been carved into the air around them, each one a handle for the gate to pull. Maya saw them, and something in her changed. She shoved away from Isaiah, still marked, still trembling, and grabbed the iron knife Rena had given her. "Oh, fuck no," she said. Isaiah stayed at her shoulder, not touching unless she leaned into him. Together they ran toward the nearest root cocoon. He tore the roots apart. She cut the silver thread wrapped around the child's throat. The little boy dropped into her arms, gasping his own name like it had been drowning. One light went out. A doorway shut somewhere under London. Good, again. "Keep freeing them," I commanded. Then the sapling bent. The burn man stepped out of it. No, not stepped, grew. Roots pushed through his spine. The black-silver trunk cracked open and poured itself into him. His burned flesh split. Cinder horns curved from his skull. Blood-red leaves opened along his shoulders, each one beating with my stolen pulse. He wore my stepfather's face for one breath. Then he smiled, and every wound in his body opened into another place. In the hole beneath his ribs, I saw the Thames rolling black under the hollow moon. Through the split in his arm, the burned house burned again. In the tear across his throat, children cried beneath the abandoned tube platform. He had become a walking doorway, the Gateborn king. "Son," he said. My wolf surged so hard my bones ached. Shannara's hand caught my wrist, not to hold me back, to remind me I was not alone inside my skin. "He wants the rage," she said. "I know." The burned man laughed. "Do you? You were always such a hungry boy, hungry for fire, hungry for punishment, hungry to make me scream." I moved toward him. Every step took discipline. Cinder creatures threw themselves at me. I tore through them without thought, claws, teeth, bone breaking under my hands. The basement became blood, ash, and orders. Across the chamber, Christine descended from a thorn doorway, like a queen arriving late to her own coronation. Her armor had grown deeper into her body. Black thorns pierced her shoulders, her throat, the elegant line of her jaw. Still beautiful, still ruined by pride. Rena met her halfway. "Still accessorizing with betrayal?" Rena asked, spinning an iron blade between her fingers. Christine's eyes stayed on the sapling behind the burned man. "I was meant for a crown." Rena smiled. "You were meant for therapy." They collided. Iron rang against thorn. Rena fought like silk-hiding razors, fast, stylish, vicious. Christine was stronger now, fed by hollow rot. But Rena was smarter. She cut joints, straps, growth points. Every strike cost Christine beauty and blood. Still, Christine reached the sapling. The Gateborn king let her. That was how I knew she was already dead in every way that mattered. Christine stretched one thorn-covered hand toward the cinder crown forming above his head. "I can carry it." "You can carry a door," he said. Her armor turned inward. Christine screamed. Thorns punched through her chest from inside and spread into a rectangular frame. Rena stumbled back as the doorway built itself out of Christine's living body. Her face remained in the center, eyes wide, mouth open, trapped between scream and breath. Not dead. The burned man had left her alive inside the threshold. Rena's expression hardened into something colder than grief. "You bastard." He bowed to her. "I prefer king." A burning doorway opened behind him. Dave hung inside it. The cinder sigil across his chest burned bright enough to light the whole chamber. His hands were fused to the edges of the door, fingers blackened, shoulders shaking as he fought against the thing using him. Shannara stepped forward. "Dave." His eyes found her. For once there was no jealousy in him, no charm, no performance, only pain. "I'm sorry," he said. The brand flared. The doorway began opening wider, dragging 3 children toward its mouth. Dave screamed and pulled back. Muscle tore. Fire climbed his arms. But the door stopped. "Go," he shouted. "Get them out." Maya ran first. Isaiah covered her, ripping through anything that came close. Maya grabbed one child, then another, dragging them away from the roots with a fury I would never again mistake for fragility. Dave held the burning door open from the wrong side, a human handle choosing at last what he opened for. I reached for him, but the burned man struck. His arm split into a doorway and swallowed my attack, spitting me out 3 paces away near the gate. Pain tore across my shoulder. "Still angry," he whispered. "Good, give it to me." I looked at Dave, at the children crawling free, at Shannara commanding doors shut with blood on her mouth and silver fire in her eyes, at Maya, human and marked and refusing to run, at Isaiah guarding her without making fear into a chain, at Rena standing before Christine's living doorway with murder in her hands. I took the iron vial from my chest. The first fire ash shifted inside it. The burned man's smile widened. "Yes, burn me again." My hatred rose, old, familiar, waiting. I remembered the house, his hands, my mother's fear, the boy I had been, small enough to be hurt and furious enough to become fire. I did not forgive him. Forgiveness was not owed to monsters, but release was not mercy. It was refusing to feed the thing that had eaten years of my life. I opened the vial. "You are not my father," I said. "You are the wound I survived." The burned man's smile faltered. I threw the ash, not with rage, not with prayer, with finality. The first fire ash struck his chest and ignited white gold through the rot. He screamed as every doorway in his body shuddered. The Thames vanished from his ribs. The burned house went dark in his arm. The tube cries cut off. His cinder crown cracked. At the same moment, Dave tore one hand free from the burning frame and shoved the last child toward Maya. Then the doorway folded around him. Shannara screamed his name. Fire swallowed him. His scorched jacket hit the stone. Nothing else followed. The Gateborn king staggered, smoking, half his crown gone. The sapling behind him thrashed, roots tearing through the floor. I advanced to finish it. Kaylin's voice cut through the chaos. "Stop." I did not stop. Shannara did. She turned toward him, breathing hard. "What?" Kaylin's face was stripped of courtly amusement. He looked at the sapling, then at cracked cinder crown, then at the leaves still beating with my heart. "You weakened the king," he said. "You did not destroy the gate heart." "Then tell me how," I said. He looked at Shannara. "Too long." My claws slid out again. Kaylin did not move. It cannot simply be killed. A living threshold cannot be ended by violence. It must be sealed with a living name powerful enough to hold both sides. The last cinder creatures retreated toward the gate, shrieking as Redmoon wolves closed around them. Shannara's silver mark burned brighter. I knew before Kaylin finished. I knew because the gate looked at her. Then it looked at me. Kaylin's voice lowered. "Only 2 names are bound deeply enough." Shannara reached for my hand. I took it. Kaylin looked directly at me and said, "The gate will take one of you before dawn."
For one terrible heartbeat after Kaylin spoke, everyone believed him. The gate would take one of us before dawn. Of course it would. Ancient magic loved a dramatic sacrifice. It always sounded most pleased with itself when offering death and calling it destiny. Ralph's hand tightened around mine. I felt the decision move through him before he said a word. "No!" I snapped. His eyes cut to me, gold bleeding through the dark. "Shannara! If you say anything heroic, I will stab you with Rena's iron." Rena, bleeding from a cut above her brow, lifted one hand. "Approved." The Gateborn king laughed from the cracked mouth of the hollow gate. His cinder crown smoked where Ralph's first fire ash had burned through it, but he was still standing, still opening, still full of doors. "One name," he whispered. "One life, one lock." Ralph stepped in front of me anyway, the stubborn bastard. I grabbed the back of his torn shirt and yanked him hard enough to make him turn. "Do not. I am Alpha. And I am tired." His expression shifted, not softened. Ralph Blackwood did not soften in war, but something in him listened. "I am tired," I said again, louder now, for the gate, for Kaelin, for every old power beneath London waiting to see which one of us would bleed prettiest. "I am tired of crowns wanting me, gods testing him, and doors acting like death is the only language anyone understands." The gate pulsed. The sapling behind the burned man bent toward me. Its blood-red leaves beat with Ralph's stolen heartbeat. I heard the truth then, not in words, in hinges, in locks, in old wood swollen by rain, in iron bolts, in hands holding something shut from both sides. A door was not only opened or closed, a door could be held. I turned to Kaelin. "A lock doesn't need one piece." His dark eyes sharpened. "Imani. No. Listen, a lock has a frame, a latch, a witness, a key, a hand that turns it, a reason it stays shut." The burned man's smile twitched. "Good." I was done playing in stories written by monsters. "Maya," I said. She was on her feet, swaying, Isaiah at her shoulder without touching her unless she leaned. The silver mark around her wrist still glowed. "I swear to God, if you ask me to do more magical admin—" "I need your witness." Her mouth trembled once. Then she lifted her chin. "Fine, but I'm invoicing somebody." I looked at Isaiah. "I need an oath." He did not hesitate. "You have it." "Rena." She wiped blood from her mouth with the back of her hand. "Iron?" Enough to make the gate choke. Her smile was sharp. "That's my love language." "Kaelin." The Thorn Prince went still. The hollow soldiers behind him shifted uneasily. I held his gaze. No court games, no half-promises. I need authority from the hollow side. His fingers rose to the black thorn crown on his head. For once, Kaelin looked almost wounded by the choice. Then he broke one thorn from the crown. The crack of it snapped through the basement. Silver-black blood welled at his temple. "By hollow authority," he said, voice low, "I surrender command to the threshold heir." The gate shuddered. The burned man's face split with rage. "No!" "Oh, now you understand the plan," I said. "Good, keep up." Ralph's mouth almost moved. Almost. I turned to him last. His expression told me he already knew. "I need alpha blood," I said. He took my hand and pressed it to his chest. His heartbeat struck my palm, steady and brutal and alive. "Freely given," he said, "not because you want to die." His jaw tightened. "Because I want you to live." "Try again." A muscle jumped in his cheek. Then he leaned down, mouth close to mine, and said, "Because I want us to live." That was the right answer. He dragged one claw across his palm and let his blood fall onto the cracked stone. Power rolled through Redmoon. Pack power, alpha power, old and wild and furious. The gate reached for it. I stepped over Ralph's blood before it could drink alone. My turn. Ralph's fingers caught my wrist. "Careful." I gave him a look. "Have we met?" Then I pressed my bleeding silver mark against the air above the gate and spoke the name it knew. Shannara Imani Adeyemi Baptiste, Imani of the First Threshold. Human, fey-blooded, red moon by choice, mine before I am anyone else's. The basement shook. The rescued children huddled together near the stairs, soot-streaked and trembling, their eyes still bright from the roots that had used them. I looked at them, and my chest hurt so badly I almost lost the words. "Your names," I said gently. "Take them back." A little boy stepped forward first. "Omar," he whispered. The root light around him flickered. Maya moved beside him. "Louder, sweetheart." His small hands curled. "Omar." One thread snapped, then another child. Layla, Theo, Amara, Grace, Malik. Name after name rose through the basement, thin at first, then stronger, until the gate could no longer hold them as candles. Maya lifted her marked wrist. "I witness," she said, voice shaking but fierce. "They are not offerings. They are not lights. They are children. I saw what was done and I named it theft." Isaiah stepped forward, eyes gold. "By Redmoon oath, no child under this roof or this city feeds a door while I breathe." Rena threw an iron chain into the spreading roots. It hissed and smoked. "And by my grandmother's iron, you ugly piece of supernatural furniture, choke on that." Kalen laid his broken thorn beside the iron. "By hollow authority, the old claim bends." Ralph picked up the cracked vial. Only dust remained inside, but first fire ash clung to the glass, to his fingers, to the scarred lines of his palm. The burned man saw it and began to laugh again. "Burn me, boy. Hate me. Feed me." Ralph looked at him, not as a son, not as a victim, as a man who had survived the thing trying to own the shape of his pain. "I do not forgive you," Ralph said. The burned man's smile widened. Ralph opened his fist over the gate. "And I do not carry you." The ash fell. White gold fire crawled across the roots. The burned man screamed. Not cleanly, not in one voice. He screamed with every stolen mouth he had ever used. Vampire, Feyrot, stepfather, king, door. I stepped into the circle of blood, iron, thorn, witness, oath, ash, and names. The gate demanded one life. I gave it law. "You were never a king," I said to the burning thing. "Never a father, never a god. You were hunger wearing old pain." His cinder crown cracked down the middle. I lifted both hands. "Hold!" The word did not leave me alone. Ralph's blood answered it. Maya's witness sharpened it. Isaiah's oath braced it. Rena's iron locked it. Kalen's thorn rooted it. The children's names filled it. The first fire ash burned the tether clean. "Hold!" I said again. The hollow gate tried to open wider. The living lock closed around it instead. Roots twisted inward. Stone grew over red light. The sapling screamed as it bent, not dying, not free, becoming something new beneath Redmoon. The Gateborn king clawed toward Ralph with burning hands. Ralph did not move in anger. He moved with me. Together we shoved the command through the bond. "Hold!" The cinder crown burst. Fire swallowed the burned man's face, then his doors, then the dark behind him. He fought until the last second, nails tearing sparks from stone, his voice scraping through the basement. "I know your line, dream girl." Then the lock shut over him. The impact threw me backward. Ralph caught me before I hit the floor. For a while, there was only the aftermath. Coughing, children crying, wolves bleeding, the awful sound of Christine trapped alive inside her thorn doorway, her screams muffled behind black growth as the lock sealed around everything it could not kill. Dave's scorched jacket lay near the place where the burning door had taken him. Maya picked it up with both hands and did not make a joke. That was how I knew something in all of us had changed. Hours later, or maybe minutes, time had become a ruined thing. Ralph found me outside his office. I washed my hands 3 times. There was still blood beneath my nails. He looked worse than I felt. Torn shirt, ash on his throat, cuts already healing, but slowly. Alive. My breath snagged at the sight of him. He locked the office door behind us. "Of course he did. I almost lost you to a crown, a grave, and a door," he said. I leaned back against his desk because my knees had opinions. And yet, here I am, still being a pain in your alpha ass. His control broke quietly. He crossed the room and kissed me with both hands on my face, not gentle, not careful, not polite. I kissed him back the same way. Teeth, breath, anger, relief. My fingers fisted in his ruined shirt. "I need to feel you," he said against my mouth. "Then feel me." His forehead pressed to mine. "If you say stop." "I know." I dragged him closer. Always. He touched me like proof, like prayer had teeth, like survival was not enough until his hands had mapped every place the war had failed to take from him. We made it to the desk, because apparently that piece of furniture had become a theme. This time there were no maps, no strategy, only his body over mine, my legs around him, his mouth at my throat, and the filthy, shaking relief of being alive enough to want. "Fuck," I whispered when he moved against me. His voice was rough at my ear. "Again." So I said it again, because I loved him, and because he was still a bossy bastard, even at the edge of dawn. After, he held me beneath his coat on the ruined office floor, while Red Moon breathed around us in broken, stubborn pieces. Then the basement called. Not screamed. Called. By dawn, a silver-black tree had grown where the hollow gate used to bleed. Its roots vanished into sealed stone. Its branches brushed the ceiling. 10 dark fruits hung from it, glossy and heavy. Each fruit had a woman's name carved into its skin. Names from my daughter line. Names I knew from family stories. Names older than any story my mother had ever told me. One fruit split open. A woman's voice whispered from inside it. "Imani, you were not the first key. You were only the first one we failed to bury." Ralph's hand found mine. The tree kept breathing.
Stay in my arms when the morning touches your face. I forget every heavy thing. Even silence sounds like music when you breathe next to me. Stay in my arms tonight. Let the world fade slowly. Your name feels like a prayer on my lips, like heaven finally knows me. Fears grow weaker, like shadows losing shape. And every dream I bury deep inside starts waking up again. Hold me close when the nights turn cold, when my strength feels out of place. Your touch is the only